We're back again. Nice to see you. It's so great to be here. Just when you were barely over the brilliance of last week, here it is back for you. So, but I have terrible, terrible news for you tonight. I haven't done all the thinking, as usual. I didn't do all the thinking. You got your own thinking to do tonight. I haven't done it all because we have a new segment we're going to try out tonight. It's called Ramrod Video. And it's basically the stuff that the producer thinks might get me worked up a little bit, but it's not gonna, and I'll tell you why. Because I am calm, cool, and I'm collected. What the fuck, America?
What the fuck America did to me? Trickery or conspiracy? Good white girl, not Hillary, kidding me. Nothing gonna change my sensibility. Life's a bitch, giving all the chivalry. Overheard in a broke man's soliloquy. Bust guns on, break him down lyrically. Ring bells out, talk about liberty. Not tripping, shit got cigarette. Far from the truth in which proximity? Real authenticity, can't rate well when you're false officially. Leave marks me parts of history. Who do we charge for the scars initially? Watch your enemies. Everybody brother ended up shot Kennedys.
So I was thinking, as I so often do in this election season, of course, drives everybody crazy. I don't think everybody's as obsessed with all of it as I am, but, some people are. Some people follow along. I don't friggin' follow lacrosse worth of shit. You know what I mean? So anyway, but I start thinking, you can see how Obama on his last way out, I just know he's going to go out kicking and screaming. He has enjoyed this shit. He's the Jefferson's time 1,000, this guy. But the point is, out he goes, and in comes the news. So they're already starting to put together the Obama legacy, and they're thinking of these issues. And for my money, the things that he wants to leave us with, that he's done to us, Barry, is Obamacare. And, of course, the other one would have to be this ridiculous Iran deal with the Iranians. So both of those things, and then further I thought, both of those things were foisted upon the people. Nobody had any, there was no uprising for more health care or, anybody can get health care. I've said it before on this freaking show. You can go and it's, you never pay the guy, whatever, and the state kicks it in. Somehow it works out and the fucking guy gets his stitches or whatever. We had health care. The fact is this is a whole different thing, is that the government is going to now mandate what kind of health care and access and this and that, and utterly, completely obliterate what we know as market competition. So what happens? What happens? Exactly what the fuck we knew would happen. Premiums go up. Deductibles go up. You don't get to keep your doctor, which was one of the central premises and promises of it. Yeah, I didn't misuse premise and promise, both of them. The worst part about it is, and this kind of, flies by once in a while, you're talking about a gigantic industry. A gigantic industry. And what do I mean by industry? In terms of portion of the GDP, our national gross domestic product, this shit is 15+% healthcare, as they like to call it. It's a giant segment of the economy. It's, you kids get your arithmetic, but let's just say it's between 1/6 and 1/7 of our economy, of our complete GDP. And now, who wants that under government control? These fucking guys don't do anything right. Nothing. The post office loses money. They invented delivering mail. They lose money. Okay, so now we're going to put 1/6, 1/7 of the GDP in the hand. And bad enough it's in the government, but who's running the government? This fucking guy. So now I'm going to tell you the real story, and it's very simple. You start to see as the premiums go up and people, all you've really essentially done is you've taken health care from some and you've given it to some others. Okay, whatever you want to do, it's redistribution. It's a giant tax. It's a giant fucking scam. One of the greatest ones ever perpetrated on mankind. But specifically, here's what it purports to do. It's basically a Ponzi scheme. Here's what it does. It basically, it it relies, and that's why you have the mandates, why you have to pay taxes on. If you don't get Obamacare, you have to pay the tax. The reason is because they need a lot of people who are 19 to 26, 27, up to 30, that sort of thing. They need a lot of people paying into this pool of money. You see, that you need a lot of people paying in who don't get sick. Understand? Okay. Because they got to pay for the old farts who are going in for tests, and I don't know, Lorraine, this is the big one. They're paying for those. But the other conundrum with the law is you can stay on your parents' policy till you're 26. So, that math ain't working out. And meanwhile, if you're 18, you're like, fuck healthcare, dude. I'm working in Myrtle Beach this summer. How much is the fine? I don't know, it's like 75. What? $75? Fuck that. So here's what happens. You got more and more subsidies. You got fewer and fewer people paying into the system. Yet, the same amount of money is going out. And even more because, as we know, our golden generation, all of our parents and their parents, hopefully their parents have died, but you know what I'm saying, basically in the thing. Those numbers are growing while the numbers paying into the situation are diminishing. Well, as we know, that is going to become an ice cream cone that some dumb shit kid dropped on the street. It's not going to work. It's going to implode. It implodes upon itself. But now listen, if you put pause if you need to take all that in. But really you don't, because here's the deal. It's by design. You have Humana Healthcare pulling out. You have United Healthcare pulling out of the market exchange, which sounds very, very Vlad to me. Oh, with a Vlad, where's my fucking hat, my Cossack, bitch? This is all by design. It has to fail. It wants to fall in on itself. Why? Because then, there's just no one participating with this way that we're doing it. The only way, why are they not participating? Because they can't make fucking money. They got a bunch of sick people that are getting sick and they're having to pay. Like, what if auto insurers were required to only insure really shitty fucking drivers? Well, that'd be an easy bet, wouldn't it? Bet on the shitty drivers to be getting the payouts. Let's use our heads here, kids. You've got a giant seizing of 1/6 to 1/7 of the GDP of the United States of America. It was built to implode upon itself because now everyone's pulling out. The only thing we can do, as Bernie, our boy, says, and Obama has been screaming about, and this filthy Hillary Clinton, is a one-payer system. All right, so another thing in my never-ending war, my aversion, my repulsion, let's go, thesaurus boy. Give me some more. Revulsion. Dislike. That's what I was looking for. My dislike of the whole political correctness thing, and as though that changes anybody's fucking situation, because you call a guy with no legs challenged. Doesn't help anything. Makes you feel better, you selfish fuck. Anyway, something else that I've been noticing is this thing that I'm seeing online called trolling. And I didn't know what the heck it was at first, but I quickly figured it out. Basically, it's so ridiculous. What it really is it's another clampdown. It's another little oppression, a little more on differing points of view. That's really what it is to me. So in other words, if somebody says something so ridiculous about Hillary Clinton, and they do it all the time, and I know I always pick on Hillary Clinton, but or Trump. Let's pick on Trump. Fuck this guy. Trump, yeah. So anybody says anything like, well, Donald's had bankruptcies, in his little comment section, then a Donald guy, stop trolling this. Because what? You don't want any dissenting points of view on there. You see this? See, I don't just pick on one guy. So this guy. So you don't want any dissenting points of view. It's like, so now if whatever the conventional wisdom is, and you don't just buy onto it like a lockstep, yes, I agree, 2 likes and a heart face, then you're, to feel ostracized. Stop trolling. And this is how you get into this whole, college situation where these kids are just don't want to be offended and I have to go to my safe place. I don't feel safe when they're talking about Donald Trump. I don't feel safe. So it becomes all of that stuff. So to me, it just represents another assault on like a dissenting point of view, which, God, you people don't even know what we're up against. It's large. You know what I mean? It's large. But in the universities, this whole thing with the safe places and the, this but just what they're being taught. I mean, college used to be the place that you went to do your thing and find out who you were. Find out from all these disparate sources, people, kids from other parts of the world, everywhere, from different parts of the country. I ain't never heard nobody speak like that, boy. Maybe if you were gay, maybe you'd get a dick in your mouth. But you were confused at home. It's kind of like New York City. What? No further comment. No need to be disgusting, I know, sorry. The point is, it's not like that anymore. There is no more open marketplace of ideas anymore. You will accept what the left has decided, which basically becomes political correctness, which means thou shalt never speak evil of the accepted wisdom. And that can be anything from, we all know the litany of cases. Some of these idiots don't even know what the cases are. They don't even know which protests they're showing up at. Sometimes, well, wait, we're for Bernie? We know we hate Trump. Oh, I'm so confused. Hold on, I'll text. There's no marketplace of ideas, dude. There's a story about, this kid, he's the president of Bucknell University of the junior class or whatever, and they removed him because he had these Breitbart guys come in and speak, and it's just like, there's no open exchange of ideas. If you bring one in, and this goes for everything, the global warming and the climate change, it's just these things, and even become prosecutable. Prosecutable in the real world and prosecutable in the academic world to the extent that can happen, which means you can be reduced or removed from your presidency, or you can even be expelled or brought up on honor charges and you're 3 weeks from graduation and you're like, I didn't mean to say that Trump was maybe okay. I didn't even say it. It's vomitous. Do you understand me? And if it continues, you see the clamping down. And Obama, wait till you see this kid again, go kicking and screaming out, leaving a mad wake of shit-filled, feces-ridden wake of damage to this republic behind him. All right, so I would be remiss to not, last week we took a caller about the transgender thing. I'm from North Carolina. There's a whole thing going on. The government's suing this fucking left-wing radical Loretta Lynch, the Obama people. They're so busy and they're suing North Carolina and against the will of the people. We cannot, the federal government, we must overrule them. I don't really care what you think about transgender. I've already said I'm not going to keep beating this into the ground. I know transgenders, I know this is a non-issue. What's really at issue in North Carolina, why they voted for it, was because it stops businesses from being pushed around in counties. That's all. You can't make them charge a minimum wage, which then ends up making employers fire people, and then that puts more people on the dole, which is exactly what these radical fucking left-wing pieces of garbage want. And they find a couple idiots who got into their mom's dressing room at an early age and just never got that warm feeling again that they had putting on mom's flippy flops. Whatever, do your thing. I'm trying to think of something I've done like that, put on some shit. I don't know. Point is, it's a non-issue. It's about a lot more than the bathroom stuff, and the fact that, and again, people aren't that worked up about it anywhere. And then you got these typical politically correct artists, these feel-good dumbasses. We've already covered all this stuff. But the fact is, the whole transgender thing, and now you're going to sue a state, a sovereign state, because their people, however backhandedly they did it. Again, how did Obamacare get passed? In the still of the night, in the dark of the night, not one Republican's fingerprints on it. Whatever. It's not the grab ass thing against discriminating against these people. There's 0 of them. 0.7 of 1%. Like nobody. These are guys who don't want to be found out. The real guys. The real guys. You know, they work at Sony Music. They're Smeldstein and Smeldstein. They're fucking accountants. All right, so again, not to beat a dead horse, you know, but like here I am saying nobody gives a shit about this transgender thing, but yet now for the second week in a row, we have a caller on the phone who wants to maybe speak about it. What's the caller's name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl? Hey, Cheryl, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Scott.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call, and thanks for putting up your phone number, because, you know, I got some things to say about this LGBT law. You know, you're saying, like, you know, that you don't care about it. And that's, I mean, if we're going to be like a global village, if we're going to, like, look out for each other, then, you know, any kind of law that, like, discriminates against us like this, you know, it's just easier for Big Brother to come in and tell everybody what to do. I mean, like,
Well,
you know, here's my example. Let me just say this, and then you can say, like, but, like, you know, what if I'm wearing pants, like, and I'm a woman?
Whoa,
like,
stop right there. Why would you be? Especially calling this show. Let's get that taken care of right away. Just kidding. Go ahead.
What do you mean? I mean, you know, if I'm wearing pants,
Yeah.
do I have to go in the men's room even though I'm a woman? What if I'm a woman and I look like a dude, right? Is there going to be a guy in front of the bathroom saying, show me
whatever,
what you
it's
got
not the
down
pants.
there? You know.
Listen, dig it. It's not the fucking arrow, it's the Indian. So whatever is behind the pants, that's the bathroom you go into. But I totally hear what you're saying, and I do appreciate it, Cheryl. Now, and let me just say this to you. I kind of agree. I mean, like, again, I didn't really say I don't care about, well, I don't care about it while, you know, the world is burning and actual homosexuals are being thrown off fucking buildings by ISIS in these fucking towels, you know, and your head's chopped off. If you're even homosexual openly. And now here we have the gall to, I don't know, or some people have the gall to get all worked up about something. Okay, and you made a good point, though. And I don't dig your global village fucking, you know, Marxist situation. But that aside, I will say to this, we all want to get along as human beings. We're all reasonable human beings. So yes, but do we inconvenience the overwhelming majority of people who are offended by some guy, you know, like my dad decided he wanted to rock a little, you know, maybe he's not preying on the daughters, but do we really need that to inconvenience all the people that are going to have to come around to another way of thinking? It's sort of like I said last time about, what do you want to be, the one dick holding the light bulb and the rest of the world, because you're offended, and the rest of the world is going to turn the house? It's sort of not very efficient. But anyway, Cheryl, go ahead. I'm sorry. I got worked up. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you know, you could say the same thing about, you know, having a colored section in the restaurant. You know, like that's an inconvenience.
For
who?
Everybody's
got to worry about that. For well, obviously for black people, but also for people that are standing up.
Because they have to walk further from the door.
You know, everybody's got to listen to that. So, you know, is
yeah,
that
but
worth
all right.
it?
Listen, you're a good heart. Obviously, I can already tell you're a good heart, and I'm just basically a wise ass. But I'm also a good heart, and I can say the following: that you're right. But you know what happens is most people that are so worked up about this, quite frankly, probably have seen very few transgenders up close and personal. Like many people in the North wouldn't have seen a real live black person who was like in their class. You know, if you live in South Jersey, there's like 2 in your school, kid. You know what I'm saying? And still to this day, it's just the way it is. So, so all these people are going to sit in judgment. I just think, same thing with the transgender. Is it really worth extending all of that freedom? And, nobody wants anybody's feelings to be hurt. But you know what, dude? If it's bumming some people out, although I'd be lying if I said I hadn't ducked into a girl's bathroom to drop a deuce.
Well, I have
before.
to agree with you there, Scotty. I really do. Because,
well, thank you.
At the end of the day, it's really just fear of the unknown. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, in that respect, it's like, does this really affect your life? Move on, do something good in the world.
Right. At the same time, you don't want somebody's to be their 7-year-old daughter to be preyed upon. But what kind of percentage is that? You know what I mean? Like
none.
Whoa, like, not none. I was masturbating just the other day thinking about some of this.
Right. Did anyone die?
No.
I get you.
No, the beady-eyed bastard, they took him away.
Well, thanks, Scotty. I know you're a good heart, even though
I know, and I'm just bullshitting. But thank you, Cheryl, for calling in. You're very sweet. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Breaking news. I gotta scan it first. Okay. This tells me who is utterly and completely opposed to Donald Trump as a president, and in some cases, a presidential nominee for their party. Now, okay, so this is a partial list. It says that in parentheses. Let me look. Okay, let me give you a few. Hillary Clinton. There's Fidel Castro and Cuba. George Soros. Oh, isn't he a lovely American lover? That fucking piece of fucking garbage. Somebody offer me some money to do something to that kid. Illegal immigrants. These are all people that that are vehemently opposed and ready to sign that don't like Trump. I'm not saying I'm sold on Trump, but I'm just giving you an idea of some of the people that are anti-Trump decidedly. This is big. There's Paul Ryan, Lindsey Graham, the John Boehners, and the entire Republican establishment. I'm going to come back to that in about 14 seconds. Mitt Romney, Al Sharpton made the list. Muslims in general. These are all people against Trump. Vehemently opposed to him becoming any source of power. Lena Dunham, who swears she'll leave the country if the kid's elected. Bye-bye, chunker. And take your bad porn with you. Oh my God, how many times I've tried to whack off to that broad. Black Lives Matter. They are against Trump. Oh my goodness. And a whole bunch of others. Just, if this guy's elected, it's the blah, blah, blah. So I look at that list. I look down, and again, it's a partial list. And I'm like, geez, I don't really dig those guys, any of them, too much. None of them. But particularly, I'm going to reserve some space for Paul Ryan and the whole Republican establishment for withholding an endorsement on the guy, even if you have to do your note. They never opposed Obama, anybody, but Trump. Oh, goodness. He's just going to be the worst possible thing. Well, the fact is, these guys still don't understand what the hell's going on. They don't understand the vomitous reaction that these voters have had, which makes Trump palpable to them and makes Bernie Sanders palpable to the dum-dums on the other side. Again, Trump, is he the god? Nah, he's a little bit of a he wants to make money, this guy. I think efficiency is his thing, and I don't mind a little taste of efficiency injected into the government moving decidedly towards socialism, rather than this radical left-wing piece of garbage Barry who only wants to subvert, only wants to create civil unrest so that only the government becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, that's who hates Trump. but there's a couple here that support Trump that caught my eye. Well, there's blue-collar voters. In other words, the people that have increased the Republican turnout mucho, a lot of percent. Do I know the exact percent? I don't. Sizable. Whereas on the Democratic side, their turnout has gone down quite a bit in the primaries. Okay, and all that means is that history tells us that in elections, when Democrats are energized, meaning the voter base comes out, as they did in 08 for Barry, and as they did in 012 for Barry, and, you know, if they had their way, they'd probably do it again, these dumb motherfuckers. Crushed Romney. You know, Republicans stayed home because they were like, Romney, oh yeah, he's on the list, isn't he? Anyway, who supports Trump? The blue-collar voters, the people that make it all happen, the taxpayers and all this stuff. They like it. Maybe like they like NASCAR. It's a little embarrassing, isn't it? But it's sort of fun to watch it go around the fucking track. That's how I surmise that whole thing. Then you've got military guys who repeatedly endorse him all over. Now, he may be the least of the evils. They want to hang themselves working for Obama. The worst. How are you in the military and you're fucking, you know, and your commander-in-chief hates your guts? And then the other thing that caught my attention was coal miners. You know what I mean? Like those guys, and which kind of goes into the blue collar voting types, you know, as well. Anyway, so all I'm saying is, you know, they have that old saying of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think all those people against Trump are basically pieces of garbage and shit that should be eaten by some sort of shit eater, bottom feeder. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I had a great time. I'll see you guys next week, every Monday night at midnight, when midnight turns to Tuesday, which is at 12 a.m. It's What the Fuck America. You can follow us on Facebook. And of course, you can email us at realwtf@gmail. That's not exactly right, but it's right here. Listen, we love you.
What the fuck America did to me? Trickery or conspiracy? Good white girl, not Hillary, kidding me. Nothing gonna change my sensibility. Life's a bitch, give it all the chivalry. Overheard in a broke man soliloquy. Bust guns on, break 'em down lyrically. Ring bells out, talk about liberty. Not tripping, shit got cigarette. Far from the truth in which proximity? Real authenticity can't rate well when you're false officially. Leave marks, leave parts of history. Who do we charge for the scars initially? Watch your enemies. Everybody brother ending up shot Kennedys.